I'm gonna rip the band-aid off right away. Modern Warfare 2 is a 5 out of 10 in its current state. Let's dive into why I think that, my issues with the game, the things that I do like about it. We're gonna get into all of that. Hello and welcome to the video. My name is Milky, and today I'm gonna be doing a review of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 game that just recently released. It's about 2 weeks old if you include the early access to the campaign. I'm going to talk about the good things. I'm going to talk about the bad things. I'm going to talk about what I think Call of Duty could change to help improve that score from a 5 to about an 8 out of 10. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about the good stuff first. Talking about the campaign first, the campaign was really cool. I enjoyed the campaign visually. It looked incredible. The cinematics, the graphics, everything about it was awesome. Unfortunately, I did not get to complete the campaign, even though I did have early access, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this review. But everything that I did get to play was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. There was apparently a bit of a twist or more of a sentimental thing at the end. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but overall, a really good campaign, a very Call of Duty feeling campaign. Moving on to the multiplayer side of things, which I think more people typically care about. The multiplayer, it does feel good. I like the pace of multiplayer. I like that we've changed the weapon progression system and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I love it, but I do like it. It's something unique and different to Call of Duty, which I think was needed and a little bit of a refresh. I am very happy personally that we went back to the 5 attachment system and not whatever was going on in Vanguard, having 10 attachment slots and 10 attachments per each weapon. I do like that there's a limitation to 5 attachments per weapon. Happy that we went back that direction. The multiplayer does feel very Call of Duty-y. It's much more fun than Vanguard or Cold War ever was for me. So I can see myself continuing to play the multiplayer, continuing to grind for the weapons, the camos, the prestige, everything that's going to come along with that, on top of playing Warzone 2 when that gets released. Whereas Vanguard and Cold War, I launched the games, I grinded weapons, and then I went right back to Warzone because I couldn't stand the multiplayers for either of those 2 games. And honestly, that's the good. The multiplayer feels good. The campaign was beautiful. It was well written. I enjoyed playing that as well. But now I think we should talk about the bad and the reason that I've rated the game a 5 out of 10 in its current state. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I was not able to complete the campaign even though I had early access, and the reason for that was about 7 hours into the campaign, I believe I was on the last mission or the second last mission, my game crashed and I lost all of my progression. I had to restart the campaign from the very beginning, and that's frustrating. And multiplayer is now released. I have to grind the weapons and the camos and everything before Warzone 2 comes out. And so I don't have the time to go back and play a 7-hour campaign and finish it essentially a second time. Like I said, I'm 7 hours in and it's between a 6 and 8 hour campaign, depending on how fast you play it. So I just don't have the time to do that again. And it's all because of a stability issue with the game. And that is another problem. The stability in this game was horrible. By far the worst Call of Duty I've ever played at launch, ever. I played Black Ops 4, Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, Vanguard, and now Modern Warfare 2 on this computer, this machine, with various upgrades between each iteration of the game. And with my 3080 and my 5950X with 32 gigabytes of RAM in this computer, it was borderline unplayable at launch. I had to play on minimum settings. I had to limit my frames to 60 FPS for the campaign. I had to turn everything down to the lowest of the low, bare minimum. The render resolution had to go down to 50 to not get any lag or stutters. Anything above that, I would get stutters, lag, crashes, all of that. The game was extremely unstable, and it still isn't great. I've gotten it to a point where it's playable and I can launch the multiplayer and play the game, but I get lag, I get stutters, I get crashes, and I couldn't tell you why. And this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but I am going to say that there's probably other people that have gone through this because I have great hardware in my computer with no issues. It's all brand new. I did a display driver update. I flashed my BIOS. I did a chipset update. I actually did a complete reinstall of Windows. Everything that you could do on a computer to make it as healthy as possible and to give all of the equipment as many benefits as possible. I even overclocked my GPU and overclocked my CPU a little bit. Everything has not resolved the lag and the stutters, and Modern Warfare 2 is the only game that I'm getting these issues in. So it is an optimization issue. It is not something on my PC. And that is just extremely frustrating from somebody who paid for the early access, somebody who is probably going to buy the battle pass and has spent a lot of money on Call of Duty. The game is unplayable, and it was unplayable, and it's only borderline playable right now because I've had to tweak so much on my end as a user rather than the game developers having it tuned for current hardware. And this is a tangent on top of a tangent, but I think the reason for this is that AAA game companies are catering to too many platforms for a single game. We've got PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, and PC. And PC can be anything from, very old graphics cards trying to be able to play it to brand new NVIDIA 4090s coming out. So there's a huge range of stuff that these companies are trying to cater for because they want the widest audience to be able to play their game. And to me, it's frustrating because we're trying to cater to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Those consoles are a decade old. Those consoles have been out for 10 years coming up in 2023. And if we're catering to old computer parts and old PC parts, I do believe that this is causing instability. And we saw that with Cyberpunk. When Cyberpunk got delayed and pushed back, it's because they were trying to make it playable on old gen consoles. And I think that's what happened here is they're trying to make it playable on 10-year-old consoles. I'm not going to get into, the issues with the consoles and how hard they are to find right now. I understand it. This is just something from me personally as somebody who has next gen hardware or current gen hardware, and not being able to play a AAA title on release is just very frustrating. Okay, rolling it back in from those tangents, let's talk about the multiplayer side of issues. And there's really only 3 big issues I have with the multiplayer right now where it stands. First issue being that I don't believe that there's enough maps in rotation. It feels like there's 6 maps that I play on, and other Call of Duties, I feel like there's at least 8 to 10 maps to play on launch. I'm hoping they add more of them. I'm hoping that there's a few more maps that just feel a little bit better. I really hate the border crossing map. That one, in my opinion, it just sucks. It's hard to see people. The choke points are really bad. There's not a lot of space to do anything in the map. I don't really like it. So there's really only I think 4 or maybe 5 good playable maps in the game right now. I'm also a little upset that they did movement nerf the game. So slide canceling is out, bunny hopping is out. It's more difficult to drop shots. Sliding is, the response to getting back into a sprint and stuff. They have nerfed a lot of the movement. And as somebody who, I don't consider myself a competitive player by any means, but as somebody who enjoys being able to work towards being a better player, removing the movement side of the skill gap is a little disappointing to me. It's frustrating that, it really has turned into the first person to ADS or somebody to pre-aim a corner is always going to win because there's very little outplay potential when it comes to movement in the game right now. And the last issue that I've got with multiplayer is something that I'm not sure a lot of people are even going to care about, but for me, I do care about it. And that is that the private match system seems to be completely lacking when compared to the Modern Warfare 2019 system. I would use the Modern Warfare 2019 system a lot to warm up. I'd throw bots on Speedball. And in this private match system, you can have a maximum of 5 bots on the map right now. And the map selection, again, is lacking. There doesn't feel like there's really any good map to warm up on because you can't fill the map up with bots so that you're always running into them and being able to warm up. You have 5 bots on maps that are too large for only 6 players. And so it's underwhelming. It's lacking, in my opinion, from what we had in Modern Warfare 2019. So there you go. In my opinion, if the devs were able to make the game more stable and running on current gen hardware better, just better, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it was running better and if the multiplayer fixed a few of those things, like if movement came back to be a little bit more of a skill gap, if we had some more maps added, and if the private matches were a little bit more robust in what we could do, I would definitely rate the game at least an 8 out of 10, if not higher. But the way it currently is, with the amount of tweaking that I needed to do just to make the game playable, with some of those things missing or lacking, in my opinion, on the multiplayer, it is going to be a 5 out of 10 from me. I would still pick it up if you're a Call of Duty fan and you're sitting on the edge. I do think that if you've got a console or if you've got a computer that is going to accept and run pretty stable for the game, it is a lot of fun. It feels very Call of Duty-y. It's new, it's interesting, and it's the only Call of Duty we're going to get, I think, for the next couple of years. I believe they are not releasing a Call of Duty next year, so I would recommend picking it up. It is a fun game, but just a few issues that bring it down to that 5 out of 10 for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. I will be coming out with a settings video so that you can have the best settings for Warzone 2 as well as the multiplayer if you want to subscribe to check that out. That's it. That's all. I will see you guys next time. Peace.